two Hindu temples in Canada, one at Brampton and another at Surrey, came under the brazen attack of Khalistanis Sikh terrorists the other day. The devotees who got injured in the attack included innocent women and children. As expected, Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau came out with a mild condemnation of the attack. He reminded the assailants that every religious group in Canada has got a right to worship or practice their religion. From the signs, it's obvious that the assailants are going to escape with a slap on the back of their hand. The police were informed about the attack, but they came late. By that time, the assailants had executed their intentions. No attack happens without a motive or without a conspiracy. In if you look into the attacks at Surrey and Brampton, there was no business for Sikh groups there. The Hindus arrived at their temples in connection with Diwali. They were there to worship God. The Sikh groups, actually, they were terrorists who gathered outside. They definitely came with a plan to attack Hindu devotees. And there is every reason to doubt that they might have got the help of somebody in the authority, especially the government, without which they would not have dared to do that. And naturally, the fingers point at Prime Minister Justin Trudeau himself. You you need to note that the way you need to remember how he responded when Hardeep Singh Nijjar, a Khalistani Sikh terrorist, was killed in a faction fight in Canada a couple of years ago. He had no qualms in blaming India for that murder. He antagonized India, and the diplomatic ties between India and Canada suffered. Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau didn't bother about that, and he is still attacking India. If you look at the backdrop of the recent attack on Hindu temples, a couple of days ago, Canada had declared India as an adversary. And there are many reasons to doubt that the attack against Hindus were carried out with the connivance of political leadership in Canada. And you need to remember one more thing also. There was a celebration organized by Hindu groups in connection with Diwali at Parliament Hill in Canada, and even the leader of opposition didn't turn up at the event. For the first time in perhaps last 2 decades, the whole celebration was cancelled. So all these point towards some kind of conspiracy to threaten Hindus, perhaps to drive Hindus out of Canada. This is a serious issue which needs to be responded in kind. It needs Hindus need to become aware of the whole attack, and they need to defend themselves. There is nothing wrong in it. Let's get to the bottom of the whole issue. Welcome to Insights. This is Hari Kumar. Now, let's analyze what happened in the recent past. As I said earlier, Canada included India in the list of cyber adversaries along with China, Russia, and North Korea. Now, it's almost like declaring India as an enemy country, and they have listed India along with other countries also. So, I think India needs to realize the gravity of the situation. There is nothing wrong if India allies with countries like Russia and China and plan jointly to resist the wanton attack of Canada against Asians. This is one of the most important fallouts of these attacks. And though Justin Trudeau has aggravated the the tensions between India and Canada, Canada has been following a hostile policy towards India, not just now, but for the last several decades. There are people in India who blame Prime Minister Narendra Modi or Home Minister Amit Shah for deteriorating relations with Canada, but that's not true. In 1985, a horrendous event happened. An Air India flight that took off from Delhi, and it was going to London through Montreal, was sabotaged, and it was bombed by Khalistani terrorists. It was carried out by a terrorist group known as Babar Khalsa, and the man who was, the terrorist who carried out terrorist. There were two terrorists involved. Those who carried out the attack included Inderjit Singh Rawat and Talvinder Singh Parmar. And Inderjit Singh Riyat, who planted bomb on the flight, killing around 329 people. He escaped with 14 years in prison. Unbelievable, is not it? Such a minor punishment for such a grave crime. And of those who got killed in the bomb blast, more than 200 were citizens of Canada, 27 were British citizens, and 24 were Indian citizens. And still, the man responsible for the heinous crime escaped with just 14 years in prison. What a pity. It happened when I think Brian Mulroney was the Prime Minister. Then the father of Mr. Trudeau was also the Prime Minister. He also followed the same policy towards India. And Canada has been following the same policy ever since. And they always encouraged Khalistani terrorists. I told about Talvinder Singh Parmar, who was part of the terrorists who bombed the Indian Airlines plane. Talvinder Singh Parmar was initially convicted by India for the murder of leader of another Sikh group known as Nirangaris. The supreme head of Nirangaris, Gurbachan Singh, was killed in 1980, and Talvinder Singh Parmar was found guilty of that. By that time, Talvinder Singh Parmar escaped to Canada, and Indian government realized that. In 1981, when Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was the Prime Minister, she requested Canada to extradite Talvinder Singh Parmar, and Canada refused. But by the way, he came to India in disguise in early 1990s, and he was killed by the police in 1990 in a shootout. So India implemented justice. But you need to remember that was the attitude of Canada. Actually, I think there are enough reasons to doubt that Canada is acting on behest of somebody, some other bigger nation. That is why they are brazen enough to directly encourage terrorism in India and use the Sikh people who settled in Canada as the cat's paw against India. And India needs to respond in kind. It is high time. There is nothing wrong if India forms a group or a coalition with China and Russia to thwart the attempts of Canada to destabilize many countries. Canada should learn a lesson. They should not intervene in the internal affairs of any other country. They have got no right to attack Hindus. They have been brazenly doing that. They have been flouting each and every law in their own country. Actually in 2000, I think it was in 2008, there was an inquiry uh, into the attack against the Indian Air India flight, and a retired Canadian Supreme Court judge who inquired into the whole incident blamed the Canadian police and secret services. So it is very clear that authorities of Canada have been encouraging terrorism. They are towing a soft line at the terrorists. This is what happened of late also. Hindus all over the world need to realize the gravity of the situation, and we need to unite. We need to convince the whole world that what is happening in Canada is likely to be the work of the government also, without which no other assailant will be able to have a free run there. So this is what is happening, and it is high time that the Hindus united to save themselves. It's not to attack anyone else, it's to save themselves. Every community in the world has got a right to do that. You know, Canada didn't belong to the white people. They forcibly occupied Canada, killing the native people. The First Nations, the Inuits, and other people who were the real owners of Canada have been attacked, killed, and brutally tortured. Their children have been taken away from their homes. Until recently, till 2000, such brutalities were carried out by the government of Canada. So they are trying to teach other nations about justice and fairness. This cannot be accepted. So we need to fight back. Otherwise, it's going to be difficult for Hindus in not just in Canada but elsewhere in North America also. I think one of the most important steps the Hindus need to take is to see. You see, the U.S. presidential election will take place in just a couple of days. We need to remember that the current democratic government is one which is totally against Hindus, and they have not spoken anything in favor of Hindus when Hindus are being attacked elsewhere, at many places in the world. So we need to ensure that the Democrats are ousted of the US administration, and among the two, Kamala Harris, I think, and Donald Trump, I think Donald Trump is best suited to protect the interests of Hindus in North America. So you need to remember that before you vote. Thank you, and meet you with another topic next time. Till then, goodbye.